Thanks, Chair. Thanks, folks, for coming in today. The opening statement and the replies to date have been pretty stark. In 2026, we've had no new rural bus services, we've had no new bus connects phases, and you've confirmed we won't see any new buses this year. And at the same time, services are over capacity all over the country. People are stuck in congestion. And also at the same time, throughout this year, we've heard Minister O'Brien tell us how much money he's given you, how there'll never be a supplemental estimate, etc. Maybe there won't be a supplemental estimate this year, but there also won't be any new services. And for commuters across the country, that's probably the most important thing. So now, I suppose, the fight is to see what can be delivered for commuters in 2027. So can I ask you, in light of the inflationary pressures that you've spoken about, what scale of additional resources would you need in Budget 2027 to be able to deliver, a number of bus connects routes and maybe some local link services as well? What percentage, or overall scale of increase in your budget do you need to see in 2027 so we can actually start delivering new routes to the commuters who need them?
Jeremy will probably be able to give you more detail on the figures, but just to say we're in the budget cycle now, working with the department, and within that we've presented them with the funding that we would need to maintain the existing services that we already have, including sort of inflationary impacts, alongside all of the new services that we wanted to introduce in 2027, so more local links and other
And from your engagements to date,
well.
Ms Shaw, do you get a sense that the Minister is minded to provide enough money to actually deliver new services, not just ELS?
I certainly, the ambition is there. That is what we want to do. That's all part of the delivering sustainable transport programme as well. Obviously, those conversations need to happen with DEPA, who will make the decisions about what funding is then made available to the department.
Your colleague might just talk a bit about the numbers.
Some of the figures. Yeah.
Okay, so it's unfortunately we're not quite there with an answer on this because it does depend on operational readiness. So because there was no funding made available this year, no additional driver recruitment has taken place over and above the requirements to maintain the existing service. So we're in discussions with Dublin Bus in particular, which will be a significant part of the additional, I suppose, ask next year for a network redesign in Dublin. And we're meeting them in the next few days to their HR department to see what they think they can deliver in terms of drivers and when. Yeah. So we'll have greater clarity.
So the failure by the government to fund extra services this year is kind of having a double whammy, really, in terms of its impacting on the ability to deliver new services as well next year.
That goes back to Anne's point about single-year funding. If we had multi-annual funding, we could plan on a more confident basis ahead.
Can I ask, just in terms of the question of fares, and it's something you mentioned in your opening statement, who makes the ultimate decision on a fare increase? Is it NTA or is it the Minister?
The NTA is the authority that makes the determination on fares,
And in your engagement with the Minister in terms of Budget 2027, would he be aware in terms of how much he secures in the budget allocation versus what you have to supply through fares? So he will be aware in terms of how much he's giving, the consequences of that for your need to up fares or not.
So as I mentioned earlier, within the whole of when we're doing the preparation for what funding comes in both from the Exchequer and also the contribution that the fares makes into that, we put that global figure together so that information is visible to the department and to the Minister. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm sure myself and my colleagues here will lobby the Minister vigorously to get that funding increased if he ever joins us at the committee here. It's been a while since we've seen him. Ghost buses in my constituency are a huge issue. I know they're an issue around the country. Routes like the 37 and the 40E particularly badly impacted. Ms Shaw, you mentioned the automatic vehicle location system, a new system finally been rolled out, piloted in Waterford this year. Do you believe it'll be across the entire public service network by the end of 2027?
I'm sure Bernard will come in and answer in more detail, but that is the plan. But I would just say that it's not just the technology, it's also some of the operational procedures, because it still requires the bus drivers to log onto the bus and
I might go into that
cancellations, diversions, etc.
Because one of the reasons I've heard for the where the bus is not meeting what's on your app or on the real-time monitor is because the automatic location system is sometimes turned off by the driver. Will that be impossible now under this system?
Well, Bernard will answer on the new system, but I think that will be the case. But at the moment, there's lots of different kinds of operational procedures, from getting the bus out of the depot first thing in the morning to turn-backs, locations, managing congestion or managing an accident that might have happened on the road network. All of those things, as the bus is working, the driver needs to do some of those things as well as the controllers back in the depot. So it's a combination of technology and those operational procedures. And we've been working with the operators on tightening up on those whilst delivering the technology.
So just for example, right now, I'm never clear when a time for the bus comes up on your app or on the real-time monitor. Is that actually being pinged from the bus, or is that the timetabled time that it was expected if everything is running right? So when this new system is operated, when I'm standing at my bus stop in Dublin 15, am I seeing the actual real-time place where the bus is and how long it's going to take to come to that stop, or will I be seeing the timetabled time?
A simple question with a complicated answer, unfortunately.
And in 52 seconds.
In 52 seconds, I'll do my best. Well, let me take it in a broad strokes. Like we currently have 5 legacy AVL systems running across the PSO network. GAVL, next generation AVL, will be a step change in terms of modernising
replace those 5, yeah.
Replace those 5 with something a bit more modern. In terms of accuracy of RTPI, it certainly gives us a better chance of standardising those interchange of messages between buses. To your specific question, generally the prediction generator generates the estimated time of arrival of the bus to your bus stop. So what you're seeing is the estimated time of arrival of that bus.
Is that based on the predictor knowing where the bus is? Yes,
that's the function. One of the key functions of the AVL system is that the service controller can see where the bus is on the network, but the engine is calculating when it will get to every stop across the network.
Okay, thank you. I raised this issue with the Minister last week. Real-time signs are absolutely crucial part of the public transport network in terms of advising people when the bus is coming, and they're being unplugged across the network because they were plugged in to local authority electricity networks. So there's 2 now unplugged in Blanchardstown village. They've been out of action for 6 months. There's one actually just outside on Kildare Street here, just outside Leinster House. So I'm just wondering, is there a plan to do this in a sequential way? Is there a plan to replace, the electricity, that very basic element, to make sure they're working, or is this just happening on a haphazard nature? And do you have any idea when I'll see my real-time monitor working in Blanch Village again?
These things are disconnected without our knowledge sometimes, or else a fault occurs with electrical supply, and when a fault occurs, we're not able to get it repaired as you would normally, because that supply is no longer aligned with regulations. It is our intention that signs that exist, we really can't get rid of them. We need to put in a new supply. So in some places, there's a bit of an examination going on as to whether we can take a supply from the shelter, which we have responsibility for, and that's allowable, or whether we have
to be through a solar panel on top of the shelter?
No, if it's solar powered, it just won't be sufficient. But if that shelter is hardwired into the electrical system, then we can take the supply off it. So there's a few locations where we're trying to do that.
Can you not at least insist to local authorities that they wouldn't just unplug them? Like that's outrageous that you wouldn't even be given the notice if something's been unplugged.
In fairness to them, it's sometimes actually a case that a fault has developed, and that has flagged up the issue. So a fault develops on the supply, and because the supply is no longer compliant with regs. So it's not I can't blame them for not.
Could I suggest that the NTA needs to develop just some sort of strategy here, because these are really important elements. People depend on these now, particularly those who wouldn't be au fait with the apps and things like that. And 6 months is a long time for it to be out of action. Mr. Ryan, do you mind if I just move on to an issue? I've spoken to you before about the 39A night bus, which is a brilliant service, but about bringing it to go through Blanchardstown village rather than the N3. It would be doing 2 stops rather than 1, but it would mean passengers would be getting off in the middle of the village rather than at the edge of the N3, which is a very isolated and very dark location and requires them walking up a long road. I've raised it with you, I've written to you. Could you come back to me on that and see if the NTA can give some consideration to it, or maybe just give a brief comment now?
Yeah, I think we have considered it, and I think in principle we see it as it does have merit. and I'll try and get an answer from the service planning team as to when we might be able to do it.
That would be great. Thank you very much.